Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in Eastland, Texas. Tune in every week as we share important information to help you and your family live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, legacy and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
We're here on another episode of Black and White Market Chatter on Life Planning 101. Matt Ervin and Aaron Kennedy. Aaron's in-house after a fishing trip, but he's back with us this week and here with us to give the scoop and the rundown on what's going on in the market this week.
Hey, glad to be back, guys. Had a little bit of a breather. Seems like everything went pretty good while I was gone.
Yes, it was nice.
Started going another way once I got back, so maybe I should leave again.
We'll remote you in next time. We'll just keep it that way.
Everybody's been looking at their statements. The market has just been on a tear since middle of June. And it feels great because we've come way off the bottom. So our portfolios have a little bit of breathing room right now. You know, how we're positioned, we're still really, really defensive. And, we talked about this several weeks ago, that one of the things that our portfolio really isn't set up to do is perform well if we just take off on a tear. And that's kind of what has happened since June. You know, we haven't gone the other way. We're still positive, and we're still making good positive returns, but we were just being more protective. And, you know, historically, if you go back to any of the big market drops, this is normal. We normally see 50% retracements where we get this dead cat bounce or something to that effect. So this feels really good, and I really hope it continues on. But there's some things out there that are still very, very worrisome to us that, you know, we usually don't escape. And most of it has to do with interest rates. So, I mean, the two biggest ones are first, the inverted yield curve. So short-term rates are higher than long-term rates. And this is kind of worrisome because, you know, if you're a bank, let's put it this way, if you're a bank and someone gives you money in a savings account, you know, right now, your savings rate should be somewhere around 3.2%. Now, I'm just going off the Fed rate, so, and this is hypothetical.
Not all banks are created equal.
Yes. So if you put your money in a savings account, you're going to make 3.2, and then the bank can go out and loan money at about 2.9. Bank's going to lose money. And I'm ignoring leverage and all that. But if you just think about that, if it costs you 3.2% to make 2.9%, you're going to go in the hole. Well, banks don't like to do that. They like to keep their doors open and their people employed, so they're not really wanting to make those loans. You know, so it slows down our economy. And it doesn't have a 100% track record of leading to a depression or
recession.
That's a bit.
Don't say depression, Aaron.
Recession. Wrong word. But it does almost have a perfect record of leading to market weakness. And sometimes it takes 18 months. I think that's about average of how long this takes to work its way through the system. But it's a big red flashing light. And it's inverted about 0.5%, which doesn't sound like a lot. But when interest rates are only 3%,
it's quite a bit.
That's quite a bit. You know, so that really hasn't changed. That inversion is still rather strong. And the second thing that, you know, we really don't want to battle against is the Fed. The Fed's trying to slow down the market. You can't fight the Fed. You know, that's one of the number one rules out there. And this is really, this is a fight from the market to the Fed. And we're going to see who blinks first.
And it's been all over. Everybody's saying the market is just in like a head-to-head, like two bulls fighting.
Yeah. So you think the U.S. government's going to say, hey, you know what, you're right.
Right.
We're going to be okay.
Back down to the retail investor.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
No. So that is very worrisome. Now, on the positive side, earnings came in better than we expected. Inflation did come down from, into the 9s to the 8s, so that was helpful. Oil's back down to the high 80s. So we are getting a little bit of a reprieve. We've seen gasoline come down, so that's going to be helpful, but it's still very, very elevated. And we really haven't seen wage increases working its way through the system. We're praising our employment rate right now, one of the lowest in history, which is fantastic. But we also have one of the lowest participation rates in history.
That's the fine print.
Yeah, the fine print. So, if we played by the same rules as some of the countries in Europe, we'd have a higher unemployment rate than Italy and some of these other known high unemployment countries. So we do measure it different. It looks fantastic, but we're not as strong as we're being told. So, anyways, I hope this rally continues on. I hope we keep pumping up. But right now we're not fighting the Fed. We're really not going to fight the Fed. One last thing I thought was very interesting in the minutes this week. I think Powell gave himself an out. He came out and said that looks like interest rates are weakening the economy. I cannot believe that.
Change of tune.
Our Fed chief finally figured that out. I think you learned that in one of your first economics class, but he finally got it. Right. So he put it in the minutes, and I think that gives him an out. If the market really starts to soften and inflation doesn't, he can backstop himself and say, hey, we're more worried about the U.S. economy than inflation. So that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out and see what happens.
We got about a month, right, to the next Fed meeting and then the outcome. So I hate to cut it shorter, and we do got to get wrapped up for this episode of Black and White Market Chatter on Life Planning 101. We'll be back with you next week.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. If you have questions, you can email them to lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more Life Planning 101. The opinions expressed herein are those of the firm and are subject to change without notice. The opinions referenced are as of the date of publication and are subject to change due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass. Any opinions, projections, or forward-looking statements expressed herein are solely those of the author, may differ from the views or opinions expressed by other areas of the firm, and are only for general informational purposes as of the date indicated. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Smart Money Group LLC. Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by Calton & Associates Incorporated.